This is really for the girl. Like, I think it's for the girls in their 20s and 30s, but honestly, it could be for any women because you can get dragged literally at any age. With wit. Like with wit, double entendre. Welcome to With Wit. Love her. Welcome back to my channel with Wit, where we break down all things healing, relationship, and growth. I've been through it, so you don't have to. Let me help you. One thing that I have said on my TikTok, and if you are following me from TikTok, thank you so much. I love you guys. I love the community that I built there. But if you're following me from TikTok, you know that I've given you all some really sound advice in how to exercise your discernment. One of those ways is through watching reality television shows, particularly like relationship or dating shows, and try to pinpoint out character flaws, ethical or morality like conflicts, so that you can exercise that discernment muscle, that intuition muscle a little bit more. What I want to do today is talk about the ultimatum. It's an ultimate mess. Okay, we're going to start there. It's always been a mess, but it is the perfect place for us to really break down these characters, particularly the men, and how you can avoid getting yourself trapped up in some mess. So today we're going to unlock the complexities of these characters, break down those red flags, and what we can learn from them about boundaries, self-esteem, and love. So let's start with Mr. JR. I mean, I really don't want to, but honestly, let's just get right into it. From the first time that he came on screen, it was apparent to me that he had a lot of insecurity. Typically people that are very overt about their physical appearance and put a lot of energy or effort into how they look to a boisterous amount. From my personal experience, they have always or have typically dealt with some sort of like trauma around what they think they looked like. So when in episode, I think it was 4, when we learned that JR had been overweight severely, I don't know if he was obese considered, but he mentioned that he was overweight and he was considered ugly. He thought he was ugly. And so when he got to the point where he was able to like work on those things and get into the gym and get his hair with them feet in braids, whatever in that lineup with the beige and black, whatever the case may be, when he got to that point, it was like, oh yeah, I'm a bad bitch, right? But what that told me was that he has layers and layers of unhealed wounds, okay? So first he talked about his looks and how he was able to overcome the way that he thought he looked, the way other people perceived him, etc. The second thing that he talked about was poverty. He said that he grew up very poor. He was one of 7. There's a little bit of trauma in that. Poverty trauma is a very, very real thing and not to be taken lightly. It likely will and has impacted his sense of security. And he also talked about some religious trauma. He is a PK, a preacher's kid, for those that do not know. And typically PKs have a connotation of having some really deep-seated stuff. Typically, and maybe I'll talk about this in another video. Y'all let me know if you're interested. But typically, preachers' kids have religious trauma. Why? Because typically pastors and preachers and church settings in general can be a breeding ground for narcissism. So his parent or parents could have been narcissists, and being a child of that, plus being in poverty, plus not being quote unquote socially desirable, could have bred him to be who we saw on camera today, which was someone who was deeply insecure, who is seeking lots of external validation from many different sources and does not have the wherewithal to communicate themselves appropriately. That's what we saw. I only want to talk about 2 particular characters on this series, JR and Scotty, and I want to focus on them because I think they were 2 of the most dangerous types of men that you can encounter, and how you can spot them so that next time you're dating or you're meeting someone, you can kind of have your antennas up and you're not getting out here played. I also went to JR's social media because I was really interested to see like how he presented. I already knew how he was going to present, but I needed to validate my claim for the research purposes of this video. And what I found made sense. He's very much in love with who? Himself. And it's not even really him being in love. He probably doesn't really like himself that much, right? But the outward portrayal of who he thinks he is what he shows on social media. So every video, every photo that he posts, he's shirtless. Every time. I get that you're a personal trainer and you're allegedly and you're in fitness and all those things. But then when you look into the comments, he seems to really engage with the commentary that is telling him how pretty he is, how beautiful he is, like like he needs that energy to really feed himself. To really feed himself. So I'll talk a little bit more about why he would be emotionally unhealthy and emotionally unavailable as soon as I get through Scotty. Scotty. Oh. When Scotty came on camera in episode 1, I clocked it immediately. And maybe it's because I've been through my own trauma and I have a really, really good radar to identify abusive partners. But I knew that that man was dangerous, like almost immediately. Me and my husband were watching it and I was like, babe, that one right there, he could do some damage. He could do some damage, and not in a good way, He immediately gave me dim your light vibes. Okay, Aria is such a light. She's very ethereal. I don't know if that's how you say it, but very like airy, very like, oh, I just love the plants and the trees. I just love life. I'm just here. I'm just a blessing. Like very light, very airy. Like she just floats when she walks. Like that's the type of woman she is. And I really believe that Scotty is focused on trying to break that down. Now, the best thing about their relationship is that they're long distance, because if they weren't, Aria would be in a much more dangerous situation than what she currently is. And I'm assuming that them filming together for these 3 weeks, hopefully she saw more of that and is able to clock his tea really fucking quickly. Now, to the naked eye, or to women's eyes that really just see a man who's like, yes, please marry me. And you're like, oh my God, why would she not marry him? You may not be able to see it outrightly, okay? He's not going to raise alarms immediately. But that's why I say those types of people are the most dangerous. Because by the time that you clock it, you've already been in it. It's been 6 months. You look up, it's been 3 years. You're like, hold on, what happened? Right? His energy just feels so calculated. Okay. He feels like when, if you've ever been if you've ever been in an emotionally abusive relationship, you can see these signs pretty quickly. Like you can clock it pretty quickly. He seems like the type, Scotty seems like the type to chip away at your self-confidence little by little by little. He's never going to do it like in a big grandiose way, because he's covert. He's trying to hide behind a facade, but all the while he's just like, and you don't see it until you're like withered away. Okay. He's like the type that wants to be the center of your world while slowly shrinking you. Like you're going to be nothing, but to you, he will be your everything. Okay. So 2 points that I want you all to take away from this. 2 things that you can learn. First, with Scotty, all of that trauma, all of that wounding, all of that needing all that external validation is typically a telltale sign of someone that is emotionally unavailable. He's unavailable to anybody. Even though he went and had sex with Sandy, I know he did. Why? Because I'm a Scorpio and I know that energy. Okay. And that unresolved trauma doesn't just disappear. It just manifests in different ways. Because why? It's energy, and energy is not destroyed nor created. It is transferred. All right. If you meet somebody like this, I'm not going to sit up here and give a blanket statement like everybody like this should never be in a relationship. No, but what I am saying, what I'm trying to teach you and what I'm trying to get you to understand is that if you do encounter someone that has similar qualities to a JR, if they're not actively working on something, if they're not actively acknowledging, hey, these things are playing a role into how I behave today, that is not someone that you can build a relationship with. A relationship requires 2 people who are committed and aware of working on themselves. He thinks he's good. He's far from that, Pooh. He ain't been good in a long while. He's the type that is masking what he thinks is his trauma and all the bad things about himself with this faux level of confidence and this, outwardly physical appearance. That's not going to be the way. The second thing for Scotty, you need to trust your gut. You need to trust your intuition. If someone's energy is off, if it feels controlling, if it's like, that was weird, I need you to tap into that. I need you to tap into it real quick, because all it's going to do is continue to snowball. Being dismissive, subtly dimming your light. Scotty is dangerous. He is the blank stares, the cold stares, the intimidation tactics that were very triggering, I think, for me and anyone else who might have been in an abusive relationship before. And I just want to remind you that there are people out here committed to breaking others down to build themselves up. And he seems to be one of those people. And I've seen clips on TikTok of him trying to like defend himself and be like, man, I just looked so crazy. Like, I can't believe I did that. What? So now he's on damage control. He's a man that came on and gave an ultimatum. He must be great. We see right through you. You want to marry her so you can control her, so you can damage her, so you can break her down. You need to work on yourself immediately. When he was, when they had that first, when he was yelling at her in that way and went and made her cry, and then his face just got, I'm telling you, it's a blank, it's a cold stare. Their eyes are dark. Their eyes are black. If you have been in a relationship like this, you know exactly what I mean. Tell the girls in the comments. Let us know. You know what I mean. And what I'm really trying to do with this platform and what I've done with my other platforms is really communicate how you can equip yourself to protect yourself and your energy. If you enjoyed this, drop a comment below. Let me know how you felt about it. I'd love to hear from you. I also would love to hear, if you have done similar exercises, I would love to hear about it. Have you ever dealt with a JR or a Scotty in your life? Do you know what that looks and feels like? Let us know. Drop it in the comments. I'm so curious. I'm looking forward. Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, share this video. I'm looking forward to learning with you all, teaching you all, educating you more. Next time on With Wit. See ya.